Hello. Hope everybody's been well today. Hello, Separate. Hello, Firefall. Nobody else. I got a new deck mat tube. I'm so happy with it. It cost me $20 on Facebook Marketplace and they 3D printed it. Looks like dragon scales. I'll be posting a picture later. Gumbo is the killer? No, he's the victim. I suppose we should reconvene the trial of Solomon Starbuck or something?
Objection!
Your Honor, could you please come out from under your bench? There are no more bombs, I promise. Was the game a tad quiet? Oh yes, my apologies. I'm still a little jumpy when it comes to trials involving bombs. I mean, first the courtroom exploded. And then Mr. Tenate self-destructed. I guess that's one way of describing what happened to Tenate. Anyway, it seems that Mr. Justice was seriously wounded by Mr. Tenate's actions. So you, Mr. Wright, will be taking up the defense? You know what, I will turn it up just a tad. Do you have an understanding of what has happened in the trial so far? Yes, Your Honor. The defense is ready. Very well. Is the prosecution also ready? He's gonna break his chains. Hmm? I take it you'd like me to give the opening statement this time? Looks like the judge has become a petty good mind reader. Well, I've certainly seen more than his fair of colorful prosecutors. You could say he's something of a veteran of sorts. Let's see. In the previous part of this trial, we learned that the victim, Clay Terran, escaped from Launchpad 1 carrying the defendant, Solomon Starbuck. There were explosions on the second floor of the Space Center and on the rocket itself. The two astronauts used Launchpad 1 corridor to reach the boarding lounge. What did I discover last time? Bullets. Okay. And? How could the victim climb down the ladder if he was carrying the defendant? That was the mystery that needed to be solved. Mr. Justice proved that the victim was killed in the boarding lounge. Prosecutor Blackwell, were you able to discover any new facts related to this case, related to this point? Upon further investigation, we discovered an oxygen tank fragment in the lounge. Surprisingly, it would appear that Justice Dono's argument was correct. So that means the testimonies of the first two people on the scene are suspects. There were two people who claimed to be the first on the scene. But can we truly trust their statements? Let's see, the two people were Detective Candace Arm and Yuri Cosmos, right? You think that one of them might have given a false statement to the police? Yes, it's certainly possible. We might have to do a little bit more digging. And just as our team was about to cross-examine Detective Arm, the courtroom bombing incident occurred. And the trial was put on hold. The cursed fellow. He killed my witness. He killed Detective Arm. He definitely put the kibosh on anyone asking her about what she saw. Exactly. In other words, the question of who killed the victim in the boarding lounge has once again become the main focus of this trial. It's obvious Prosecutor Blackwell still thinks it was Mr. Starbuck. Fulbright said that Blackwell has a thing against the astronaut. Nevertheless, defense argues that there was a third person in the lounge, and that's who killed the victim.
Objection!
To make such reckless claims in a courtroom takes a bold man. Or a stupid one. There was no third person in the boarding lounge. Or have you gotten dotty already? Old man. Jesus.
Objection!
We'll see who's the dotard after I trounce you with my years of experience, little boy. In any case, Mr. Starbuck claims he saw someone leaving the lounge. Furthermore, a Space Center employee also saw a suspicious figure at the scene. They saw a third person? See, my sister has been running her mouth. That's right. I almost forgot that Aura is Prosecutor Blackwell's sister. No matter. She didn't see this mystery person's face clearly. Therefore, there is no evidence to indicate that this person was not the defendant. I guess the possibility that the figure was Mr. Starbuck is still there. In brief, we need to determine if a third person was there or not. To this end, we should hear the testimony of one of the first people on the scene. Director Cosmos, huh? Very well. Bailiff, please bring the witness to the stand. Why, I believe I've seen you before in the newspapers. Of course you have. Of course you have. For I am Yuri Cosmos, director of the Cosmos Space Center, which was, of course, named after me, Yuri Cosmos. Don't you have anything you wish to ask me? Looks like he's all geared up to do some bragging. 7 years ago, I successfully launched the Hat 1 and... everyone already knows how brilliant you are. Even I am trying to hold back my tears at seeing such a great man standing before me. So could you please proceed directly to your important testimony? Aha! I see this fine young lad has a proper appreciation of greatness. Then allow me to begin my epochal testimony that will be recorded in the annals of history. That speech of Prosecutor Blackwell's just now. It sounded to me more like he was poking fun at Director Cosmos. It's probably for the best that it sailed right over the director's head. Now then, Director Cosmos, a condensed version of your illustrious testimony, please. Detective Arm and I rushed towards the boarding lounge together. We went via the control room and peeked in from there to see what was going on inside. We saw a figure standing in the middle of the lounge, and Taryn lying on the floor. I hate to say it, but I can only imagine the standing figure must have been Starbuck. I see. So in your testimony you claim, you arrived on the scene after the two had escaped from the launch pad in the lounge. And just after the victim had been killed. Oh, the horror, the humanity, but what I said is what I saw. And what I saw is what I said. Courageous action to take in the face of such terrifying explosions, wouldn't you say? To save my men, I went personally into the epicenter of danger. Risking my own life for theirs. Ha ha! I'm not laughing. Well, what do you know? It sounds like the director really cares about his men. Yeah, although it sounds more like he was just scared and had a peek from far away. Is the defense ready to cross-examine the witness? Yes, Your Honor. Director Cosmos' testimony is pretty vague. We're gonna have to press him and draw out more information before I do anything else. Detective Arm and I rushed towards the boarding lounge together.
Hold it!
Where were you coming from? The 6th floor. We're making sure any stragglers made their way to the 4th floor. Then when we heard about Starbuck and Taryn, I heard to the 3rd floor lounge. On my galactic scooter here, of course. Why do you keep calling it galactic? Does it have something to do with space? Of course. It's specifically designed to be used on galactic battleships. I see. Then I take it works on 0G too? Sadly, no. With the current state of technology as it is, I'm afraid it would just float about and be galactically useless. Well, that's a galactic bummer. I see. So you rushed to the boarding lounge on your space-age pogo stick. And when you got to the scene, what did you see? We went via the control room and peeked in from there to see what was going on.
Hold it!
Let's see. According to this diagram, you didn't have to go through the control room to get to boarding lounge 1. Looks like you could have just gone there from the southern corridor as well. Yes, but in her haste, Detective Arm rushed ahead of me towards the control room. All I could do was merely follow behind her. I see. So we peeked into the boarding lounge from the control room door and... we saw a figure standing in the middle of the lounge, and Taryn lying on the floor.
Hold it!
So you couldn't see who that figure was clearly or what they were doing? Sadly, the only thing I could tell was that it was a person standing motionless. The defendant, no doubt, staring aghast at his deed. What other explanation is there? Ugh, I'm so close, but without evidence, I can't prove that person's a third party. Ow, Elohim! Why are you kitty-catting everywhere? I don't relish in this, and I hate to say it, but I can only imagine the standing figure must have been Starbuck.
Hold it!
Laura Blackwell also saw a suspicious figure in the lounge. Excuse me, but she gave the statement that it was too dark to see the person's face clearly. Did you see this figure's face clearly? No, not clearly. Is it nap time yet? Anytime can be nap time, Vimo. But man, if you need to rest, go rest now. Don't stay up and watch stream. Get yourself something to eat and go lie down. No, not clearly. The lighter they were holding illuminated the area around their feet at the time. But other than that, I could see little else. That's why I could see Tara, but I couldn't see who the other person was. So for all you know, it might not have been Mr. Starbuck, isn't that correct? I would like to believe that. Starbuck isn't the type of man who's capable of murder. Yeah, go be horizontal, Demo.
Objection!
When the witness entered the boarding lounge, there was no third person there. Isn't that correct, Great Space Center Director? Yes, that's right. Only Starbuck and Terran were there by that time. You sound like Kyomu now? Or what if Kyomu sounds like me? After we peeked in, the lounge suddenly went dark and the figure vanished. You mean they disappeared? That's odd.
Objection!
The reason the figure appeared to vanish is because it was the defendant. When the witnesses weren't looking, he fell to the floor and fainted unconsciousness. William, are you good? Hey. Are you good? I guess his paw was itchy. He was biting it.
Hold it!
Hold on. Director Cosmos, did you ever take your eyes off the scene? Just for a brief instant. About as long as it takes for a shooting star to go by. You took your eyes off the scene. And this third person could have escaped during that time. But what escape route could this person have used? The direction opposite the control room, the southern door to the elevators. There's no security lock on that door, so it would have been possible to escape that way.
Objection!
All things are possible, right, Dono? The real question is, do you have any proof? Well... If we're just talking possibilities, we could each profess whatever we would like. An inmate who used to be a university professor and lunar researcher used to say that there is a kingdom of little green men who lived under the surface of the moon. As long as they don't punish us in the name of said moon for what we've done to it. But I say, where's your proof that this quaint kingdom exists? It's calling your theory a work of fiction, boss. And he's right, I don't have any proof yet. Still. The southern door was a possible escape route. I better make a mental note of that. Director Cosmos, may I ask you a question? Yes? Why did you look away from the boarding lounge? Haha! There's actually another tale of bravery behind the answer to that. It was when Detective Arms saw the figure and raised her gun. Being a great humanitarian and protector of mankind, I tried to stop her. What? You're saying Detective Arm raised her gun as soon as she saw the figure? Oh, oops. I imagine her instincts as a detective told her they were the killer. I don't know about that. Were we able to prevent Detective Arm from firing her gun? I'm afraid I was too late. I was unable to stop her. She identified herself clearly, and then... she fired 2 warning shots at the shadowy figure. This information about Detective Arm's actions sounds critically important. Please add it to your testimony. Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots at the figure.
Hold it!
And either of these 2 shots hit the culprit? That is correct. The detective appears to have missed on purpose. But is she really? There's something about this that bothers me. Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots, did she? It's the first time that info has come out. What if I can find any inconsistencies?
Objection!
Are you sure you were really paying attention to what Detective Arm was doing? You doubt my words? Words that will someday be written down in history books? Somehow I don't think that those exact words will ever be written down in any history books. Mr. Wright, could you please explain yourself so that we can all understand? You said that Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots, and yet only 1 bullet hole was ever found at the scene. What? Only 1 bullet hole means the gun was fired only once. And yet Director Cosmos is saying Detective Arm fired 2 shots. No editor would allow such a glaring contradiction into a history book.
Objection!
Unfortunately for you, the witness's words are true. We confirmed that 2 shots were fired from Detective Arm's gun.
Objection!
But there was only 1 bullet hole at the scene. Where did the other bullet hole vanish to? Ah! You should know the answer to that already. I should? During the previous trial, a certain oxygen tank was presented as evidence. We've already discussed that it was ruptured in the lounge, have we not? Well, it appears that the thing that ruptured it was a bullet. A bullet that was found near the tank, to be precise. This bullet was fired from a .38 caliber gun. Same caliber as a detective's gun. What? Rifling marks also match up. What's the other bullet? Smaller. There's no question that the bullet was fired from Detective Arm's gun. Rifling marks. They're like a gun's fingerprints from on a bullet, correct? And examining the rifling marks on a bullet can tell us the gun it was fired from? Sorry, cat needed lick. One of the bullets the detective fired found its way into the holographic image display. The other bullet came to a stop near the victim's oxygen tank. The evidence confirms the director's statement that the detective fired 2 shots. A beautiful contradiction. Gone. All gone. So the bullet hole was from a .38 caliber, huh? Better update the record. Very good. Now we know the fate of both of the shots Detective Arm fired. Mr. Wright, does that clear up all of your questions? Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots. One hit the holographic display and the other hit the oxygen tank. Does that really clear up everything about what happened at the scene? No. No, Your Honor, it doesn't. Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots from a .38 caliber gun. But that doesn't explain the existence of a certain piece of evidence found at the scene. A piece that points to the existence of a third person. Oh? Very well, but it won't do to keep us waiting, Mr. Wright. What piece of evidence suggests the possibility of a third person at the scene?
Take that!
And what is this metal pellet supposed to be? Just a little something of great importance we found at the crime scene, Your Honor. You found it where? In a floor gutter at the crime scene. Looks like the police and prosecution both missed it. Furthermore, this is a 10 caliber bullet, making it much smaller than one of the Detective Arm's .38 calibers. And that means... Exactly. One more person must have been there in the lounge. A third person who had a gun that could fire 10 caliber bullets. And if that's true, it explains why Detective Arm fired warning shots. The third person fired at Detective Arm and Director Cosmos with their gun. And in return, the detective fired her warning shots. Isn't that how it really went down, Director Cosmos? Haha, it looks like you've deduced my miraculous tale of survival. Yes, you're absolutely correct. The mystery person fired upon us. What's this now? What? You never breathed a word of any of this to me before. Aha. Well, all great men have a secret or two, don't you know? Foolish old geezer. So Director Cosmos really has been hiding the presence of a third person all along? Director Cosmos, I want you to testify to the court about what you really saw. You may be a very great man, but in my courtroom, you are just another witness. You won't receive special treatment here. Now please give accurate testimony. Detective Arm and I rushed to the control room together. In the lounge, we saw a figure standing in the middle of the room and tearing on the floor. We were still in the control room to the east when the figure fired at us. Given that there was no third person in the lounge when the witness entered it, does this mean the person who fired the gun had to have been the defendant? Not necessarily. It's still possible that it was someone else. Most likely, as soon as Detective Arm and Director Cosmos could discover this person, they escaped through the southern door, the one that didn't have a security lock.
Objection!
Double-edged swords are a tricky lot. Miss Handle one, it is you who is cut down. Huh? Your reasoning could apply if Space Boy were the killer as well. Think about it. After being discovered, he could have fired the 10 caliber gun. Detective Arm would have responded by firing 2 warning shots. All he had to do was feign unconsciousness to invent the possibility of a third person.
Objection!
Well, Mr. Starbuck didn't have a gun in his possession when he was found by the police. Nor has the gun been found at the crime scene. Its absence can only be explained if there was a third party who took it with them.
Objection!
Recall the existence of a trash chute in the boarding lounge. The defendant could have simply thrown the gun down the chute.
Objection!
But you can't deny the possibility of a third person leaving with the weapon.
Objection!
It's up to you to prove that possibility. And I trust you haven't forgotten my little piece of decisive evidence? What evidence? Why, the detonator switch that was found in Mr. Starbuck's pocket, naturally. The most compelling evidence of all of that tells us he's the culprit. I did forget all about that. Look, your baldness, how deliciously obvious that it is that they lack the evidence to rival mine. Wow, he sliced a third-person theory to its ribbons and served it to us just like that. Yes, well, I have a question of my own, actually. That bullet that the mysterious figure shot. What did it hit exactly? It hit me. So does that mean you're a ghost? You're right, Cosmos. I was wondering when you would realize it, your baldness. Director Cosmos is an authentic, bona fide ghost. He can even pass through walls. Eek!
Objection!
Prosecutor Blackwell, shame on you for teasing the nice old gentleman. Your baldness was all in jest. Please show yourself again. Are you sure? In that case. How did you manage to survive being shot, Director Cosmos? Ha! I'm glad you asked. It was a miracle befitting a great history-making figure such as myself. The bullet hit my glorious Medal of Honor, whereby it ricocheted, thus saving my life. What? That's unbelievable. I have to check this out. Oh wow. Look at that. There's one extra Gyaxa star. The odds are literally astronomical. I guess it really was a miracle. It's beginning to really feel like the Cosmos is watching out for Director Cosmos. But why did you conceal this information, Director Cosmos? Things on occasion. No matter how much it hurts. It is the plight of the truly great. It may be hard for this generation to understand. I don't know, but it sounds fishy to me. What else is he hiding? Now then, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. Detective Arm and I rushed to the control room together.
Hold it!
We've already heard all about that part. Don't you have any new information? Well, let me see. If you have an hour or two, I could tell you all about the Hat One Miracle.
Hold it!
We already know all about that too. Tell us about something related to this incident. I see. You want to know about incidents? Well, then let me tell you about the many incidents that made me the man I am today. If you have the time, I will tell you all about the upbringing of this great man.
Hold it!
You told us all about that already as well. What we need now is your testimony. Did I really already tell you all that about my upbringing? I don't recall doing so. Dr. Cosmos, perhaps you could save your boastful tales for later. If I must. Well, we peeked in through the control room door and... in the lounge, we saw a figure standing in the middle of the room, and Terran on the floor.
Hold it!
It was so dark, you couldn't see this figure's face, isn't that right? Yes, the room is as deep and dark as outer space itself. Speaking of outer space, during the Hat One launch 7 years ago... if it's about that Hat One miracle again, you can saw it off and tell it to a stray mutt. Haha, excellent idea. No reason why the animal world shouldn't hear of my greatness. And so they shall, but first your testimony. What happened next? You were still in the control room to the east when the figure fired at us.
Hold it!
So in other words, you were fired at while you were at the control room door. That is correct. There's something not quite right about that. Dr. Cosmos, the bullet this person fired hit you, isn't that right? Yes, it was a miracle befitting a great history-making figure such as myself. The bullet the figure fired hit me while I was in the control room. But as the Cosmos would have it, the bullet bounced off my glorious Medal of Honor. In that case, the bullet should have wound up somewhere around the control room door. Okay, so Director Cosmos was in the control room to the east. And while he was there, he was shot by someone with a 10 caliber gun. But the bullet hit his metal, so he was able to escape with his life. He's a very lucky man. No wonder people think he's great. Yeah, I'm pretty lucky myself, so if he's a great man, then I'm the king of all the cosmos. Detective Arm and I rushed to the control room together.
Hold it!
Oh, hold on.
Hold it! Hold it!
So I think I have to present this bullet because it's the wrong spot.
Objection!
Director Cosmos, I believe you are telling this great court a glorious lie. Great man like me tell a lie? Have you ever heard of such a thing in all of history? Yes. My accusation is based on the positions of the people who were in the lounge. According to your testimony, you and Detective Arm were near the control room door. And the mysterious figure was standing in the middle of the boarding lounge. If, as you say, the figure fired a gun at you from this position, then the bullet would have traveled in this direction. However, we found the 10 caliber bullet here. Oh. This trajectory and where the bullet was actually found contradict each other. Dr. Cosmos, where were you really when they were being shot at? Spin! Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the human merry-go-round.
Objection!
Don't tell me you've forgotten already. Didn't the witness himself just tell you? The bullet hit his metal. Of this, there is no mistake.
Objection!
But in that case, the bullet should have been found near the east side of the room. Are you trying to say that you can explain this inconsistency? Of course. I didn't think so. What? Oh great, Director Cosmos. Yes? Is there something you'd like me to expound upon? You were in fact not in the control room to the east, were you? You were in fact not in the control room to the east, were you? You were looking into the lounge from the door to the south, is that not right? I'm trying to set up a barbecue with some friends. I'm excited. I haven't had friends over for a barbecue in fucking years. What are you getting at? Use your own brain. Your head must have some use other than housing that bird's nest. Bird's nest. Why does everyone pick on my hair? Director Cosmos and Detective witnessed the scene from the southern door. The killer fired at them, and that's why there was a bullet found in the south. Ah, that makes some sense, actually. Also, the witness being at the southern door is rather favorable for the prosecution. Huh? I've got a bad feeling about this. About it, Director. If you don't tell the truth this time... Yikes! His handcuffs. You'll become the rust upon my sword. I relish the chance to cut down a great man. Alright, I'll tell you the truth. Just put your sword away. You are correct. I, the great Yuri Cosmos, was looking at the room from the southern door. What? That's the complete opposite of all the testimonies given so far. Now you have lost your possibility that a third person was in the room. I have? How? The director and the detective were near the southern door. I mean, the killer couldn't have escaped through here. The western door required print recognition. The corridor beyond was filled with smoke. The only escape route left was the eastern control room door. And the only way to get through there was with the Director Cosmos' fingerprints. In short, there would be no escape for any third person had there been one. My third person just disappeared. Like in one of Trucy's magic tricks. Order. Order in the court. Dr. Cosmos, why did you tell such an outrageous lie? You were covering for the defendant. Isn't that right? Yes. It was all for the love of my men. If I had said I was in the eastern control room, it would mean the culprit would have escaped through the southern door. It would have meant that there could have been a third person. All I wanted to do was protect Starbuck. I said I was in the control room to invent an escape route for the third person. What a convoluted lie. Was he really covering for the defendant? Looks like we've come to a conclusion. For the defense's argument, the possibility of a third person has crumbled. No. It's over. Yikes. The judge is about to hand down his verdict. Think, Phoenix, think. This is the perfect time to try and turn my thinking around. The third person had no way of escaping the scene. But what if one of the people at the scene was the third person? Wait. What if the whole premise is all wrong? Director Cosmos said that he and Detective Arm rushed to the scene together. What if that promise isn't true? What if them reached the scene before the other one? And if that person entered the lounge, then they would be the third person. The defendant is the only one who could have killed the victim and shot at the director. There doesn't appear to be any room for argument against these claims. I will now render my verdict.
Objection!
Please wait, Your Honor. There is still one possibility. Oh? This had better be good, Mr. Wright. Only 1 week away from literally eternity. Hi, Gumbo. How you doing? There is one and only one person who could have escaped from the scene. That person would be the first person who arrived on the scene. And upon entering the boarding lounge, the second person to arrive came via the southern door. That's why the first person fled from the room, using an escape route that was accessible only to them. Very well, let's hear more about this theory. Really? Should I log out of 7TV just to be safe? Actually, it's connected to my Twitch, it should be fine. Who is the one person who could have escaped from the boarding lounge?
Take that!
What? But that's... Mr. Wright, what are you claiming here? Of all the people who were at the scene, only the witness could have escaped. The director is the only one with the authority to open the control room door, after all. But that means... Exactly. The true identity of the third person is our current witness. Director Yuri Cosmos. Yeah. What? What? Order. Order in the court, I say. Mr. Wright, you will explain yourself in more detail. I assert that Director Cosmos arrived at the scene before Detective Arm and entered the boarding lounge alone. Detective Arm arrived after that and saw a suspicious figure, who was actually Director Cosmos, standing in the lounge. And that's why she fired those 2 warning shots. Yeah, I've been hit. I've been hit on the starboard side. Captain Wright, it's a direct hit on the enemy ship, sir. A magnificent shot. Warning shots fired from the enemy ship. Prepare to intercept. Cosmos, you have total lie in this court once again. I've been hit on the port side. The enemy has called in reinforcements. We're at the Cosmos Control Center, requesting permission to ask that you return to reality. But my ship will not go down to anything less than the ultimate weapon of evidence.
Objection!
But I do have evidence. In fact, you could say that your battleship bears its scar. If Director Cosmos is the third person Aura Blackwell saw, this third person fired at Detective Arm and Director Cosmos with their gun. And in return, the detective fired her warning shots. Isn't that how it really went down, Director Cosmos? Aha! Looks like you've deduced my miraculous tale of survival. Yes, you're absolutely correct. The mystery person fired upon us. Director Cosmos must have been the one who fired the 10 caliber gun. When Detective Arm discovered him in the lounge, it only makes sense that he would have turned and shot at her. Therefore, the evidence on the director's body is of a different kind of relevance than before. Once we compare it against another piece of evidence, the mark that you receive from the third party will all be proof that we need. Proof that you were the one in there in the lounge. Brace for further impact. Comparison against this piece of evidence will prove that you were the one in the lounge.
Take that!
A 38 caliber bullet found on the floor at the scene didn't hit the oxygen tank. It hit Director Cosmos' metal. If we have that ricochet mark on the metal analyzed, I'm sure the caliber will match up. And if that mark proves to be from a 38 caliber bullet, It'll prove that you are the third person we've been looking for. Ah, the bridge is destroyed. Losing altitude. All hands abandon ship. If that's true, then what about the bullet that hit the oxygen tank? It was the 10 caliber bullet. In other words, it was the bullet fired by Yuri Cosmos. Isn't that right, Director? No, you've got it all wrong. What? The engines have started again. It's a miracle. I'm not going down yet. Witness, stop us at once and confess the truth. If you don't want the history books to say that a great man was a great liar, then accept your fate and tell the truth. Are you giving me orders? Me, the great director of the Cosmos Space Center? Yeah. Well, the cosmos revolves around me. I love that they added the spinning. Someone get me off this thing. Order in the court. And will someone please stop the witness from spinning? Phew. Thank goodness we were able to stop him from spinning off the face of the earth. While he was twirling, I took the liberty of running an analysis on the marks of the metal. It was made by a 38 caliber bullets, matching it with the size of Detective Arm's firearm. Ugh. Are you ready to confess the truth, witness? No. Got it all wrong. This is just a misunderstanding. Is he gonna start piling on more lies? It looks like it. No matter how many lies he tells, I'll just expose them one by one. I'll make that big liar tell the truth. I'm just gonna keep going. Director Cosmos, a new possibility has been presented by the defense. They are claiming that you were this third person. Ugh, forgive me. I'm so sorry. Okay, give me a second. So the great pioneer of space development is revealed to be just another fabulous cur. I have only one question for the likes of you. Shall I send you off quickly or very quickly? The evidence doesn't lie, Director Cosmos, so don't try to talk your way out of this. Fine, I'll tell the truth. It's all just as you say, Mr. Wright. It's true that I was there in the boarding lounge. I got there before Detective Arm, and when she arrived, she fired warning shots at me. I was afraid people would stake me for the killer, so I escaped to the control room. Then I went past the elevators and all the way around it to the boarding lounge once again. I came up behind Detective Arm and pretended to be the second on the scene. What a troublesome old man you are, with such convoluted deeds and thoughts. I see. So then... Are you still insisting that you did not kill the victim? Of course I am. When I arrived at the lounge alone, I saw the true killer. The great Yuri Cosmos was a history-making witness.
Hold it!
Now hold on just one moment. We just proved a few minutes ago. The third person saw Mr. Starbuck and Mr. Oh, that third person that Mr. Starbuck and Mr. Oral Blackwell saw was you. No, it wasn't me. I saw the person as well. If I were the killer, why would I lie to cover up for Starbuck? I would just leave him to take the fall. That is an excellent point. All I wanted to do was protect Starbuck. I said I was in the control room to invent an escape route for a third person. Well, it makes him sense if he told those lies to cover for Mr. Starbuck. Still, a lie's a lie, Athena. So Director Cosmos claims he's not the culprit, but where's the proof? Ah, I just remembered. I have an alibi. Miss Blackwell said that she saw the killer at 10 a.m., correct? Yes, and? Well, I was on the 4th floor helping with the evacuation effort. Ask any member of the staff you'd like. They'll corroborate me. The director is not fibbing to the court for once. I confirm that he has an alibi for the time specified. So, you're claiming that Miss Blackwell saw the killer commit the crime first at 10 a.m. And that you arrived at the lounge after that? Yes, and I believe the person I saw is the same person that Miss Blackwell saw. Although it was pitch black, so it was more of a shadowy figure and less of a person. I couldn't actually see their face, but it was definitely the silhouette of an Earthling. As long as he has an alibi. Can't very well claim Director Cosmos was the killer. No, we can't. Then again, maybe we don't need to yet. I wonder if he was just really covering for Mr. Starbuck. Your Honor, the defense moves to have the director testify about the person he saw. Very well. Director Cosmos, your testimony, please. I tried to enter the lounge. Killer inside fired a gun at me. I hid to avoid getting shot. But when I tried to get another look, they vanished into thin air. I was near the elevator side door and, well, the launch pad 1 door. The control room door should have been shut tight to the killer. So he was shot by the killer as well? And then they disappeared. Yes. But luckily no harm came to my glorious body. Unfortunately, the bullet hit Terran's oxygen tank. I know because I heard a pang. It must have been the sound of the tank being ruptured. Wait, but I thought the bullet hit his metal. That was Detective Arm's bullet, remember? Right. What a mess it's turning into. So let's see. Director Cosmos is claiming that when he found Mr. Terran and his killer, the culprit shot a 10 caliber bullet at him. Right, but it actually hit Mr. Terran's oxygen tank and ruptured it. And the killer disappeared and the director went into the boarding lounge. When Detective Arm caught up and fired those warning shots at him. Judging by his medal, it looks like one of them almost took him out, too. Good summary, but it doesn't explain where a mystery killer went. Director Cosmos, I was wondering if you could elaborate on when the figure disappeared. I'm ashamed to admit I tried to hide myself when I was shot at, but when I peeped back into the lounge, the real killer was gone. I rushed into the lounge straight away to investigate. But what I found was Terran with a knife in his chest and Starbuck out cold on the floor. So we have a culprit who vanished from a scene that had no escape routes. Vanished without a trace. Truly like one of the great mysteries of the cosmos.
Silence!
A riddle of the ages indeed. But I'd rather know. How a fibbing leech such as you can be lauded as great? A great man is always misunderstood in his own time. But he must remain true to himself even if those around him don't understand. Wow, that might be the first true statement he's said all day. But how do you suppose this person managed to vanish so suddenly? Simple. Because it was Space Boy himself. When he was spotted by the director and Aura, he quickly feigned unconsciousness. That would certainly take all the mystery out of the idea of the vanishing culprit. I want to raise an objection, but I don't have any counter evidence. Director Cosmos, when you saw this person, did you also see Mr. Starbuck on the floor? No, because it was as dark as a black hole in there. I didn't see Mr. Starbuck until the other person vanished and I entered the room. That wasn't exactly helpful. I'm prepared to accept your surrender right, Dono. Can't find any holes in his testimony, but I can't give up. Mr. Wright, why don't you let me help? Huh? While the director was giving his testimony, I detected the cacophony of discord. Which means he's hiding his true feelings from us, huh? This just might help us find out what happened to our vanished killer. That'd be a great Athena. Let's see what you can do with him. You got it, boss. I wouldn't want to miss this chance to delve into a great mind. Yuri Cosmos, prepare to hand over the secrets of your heart to me. Sounds almost romantic. He should be shocked that he disappeared.
Got it!
You must have thought it was very strange that the killer vanished into thin air. I did. That kind of thing just doesn't happen usually. And yet at that time you barely registered any shock at the occurrence. What? Why are you... I can only think of one reason as to why you weren't surprised by the killer's vanishing act. You must have had a good idea of where they went, isn't that right? What? No, of course not. That's preposterous. It can only enter the control room. And the area beyond the launchpad door was filled with smoke, making it impassable. As for the southern door, I was standing right there. So there's nowhere for the killer to run to. Maybe, or maybe not. You went to the room to check on Mr. Starbuck and Mr. Terran, yes? What if the culprit took that opportunity to silently slip out through the southern door? I highly doubt it. As you recall, right after I entered the lounge, Detective Arm came rushing towards it herself via the southern hallway. Anyone trying to escape through there would have been caught by her. And yet the director wasn't surprised the killer vanished. So you're absolutely sure there was no escape route for the culprit to use. Working, boss. One more punch and it'll be a knockout. Seems to be one more emotion that's at odds with his testimony. Go get him. Okay, back in the Matrix it is. Have to pinpoint our way to victory.
Got it!
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem to be afraid of the launch pad door. The great Yuri Cosmos? Afraid? On what basis do you have for that outlandish accusation? Whether I have any basis or not, you seem quite distressed by it. I'm most certainly not. Dr. Cosmos. There seems to be something about the launchpad door you're not telling us, is there? Yeah. Wow, he's speechless. Looks like you hit the nail on the head, boss. I'll just input those two pieces of data and... Yes. Just what I wanted to see. Presto changeo. Less discord. Looks like we're on the right track. Thanks, Athena. That'll make sense of what we learned. Dr. Cosmos wasn't surprised that the culprit suddenly vanished from the lounge. Which points to the possibility that he knew where the killer had escaped to. Furthermore, talking about the door to the launchpad made him uneasy. In other words, he's probably hiding something about the launchpad 1 door. When we put those two pieces together, only one solution to this puzzle comes to mind. Dr. Cosmos, did the real killer escape through here?
Take that!
Culprit went through the launchpad 1 door to escape, didn't they? Yes. I mean, no. Disaster to starboard. We're going to crash into an asteroid. Master tactician, you are not. But the area beyond the door was filled with smoke, wasn't it? True, but this is still the only logical answer there is. If we just figure out what the director is hiding about the launchpad 1 door, we should be able to iron out the logical inconsistencies. Yeah. But that door requires fingerprint recognition. Only Starbuck, Terran, and I have access. I don't see how the killer could have opened that security lock, do you? That's an easy one. The killer was right there in the boarding lounge, meaning... there's a way he could have easily gotten past the security lock. Come to think of it, we did examine the prints on the fingerprint recognition device. I propose that the killer used this person's fingerprints to get past the security lock. I don't know if it was Terran or Starbuck.
Take that!
That's... Mr. Starbuck was lying unconscious there in the boarding lounge. Anybody could have easily gotten past the security lock by using Mr. Starbuck's prints. And actually, Mr. Starbuck's prints are exactly what we found on the device's screen. Looks like he does have something to hide about the launchpad 1 door. And I'm betting it's got something to do with the culprit's escape route. But I don't have enough information to see the whole picture yet. You know, something just occurred to me. Would you like to hear it? No. Oh yes, by all means. Security camera in boarding lounge 1. Right, the one that recorded the victim and the defendant. What about it, Your Honor? The true culprit escaped into the launchpad 1 corridor. And that might be recorded on the security footage as well. Then the mystery would be solved. What do you think of my logic? I hope you didn't strain your faculties too much for that, your baldness. I beg your pardon? Look, if we play the security footage beyond this point... Oh my, the footage cuts off. The camera was running on backup power, but apparently the power cables were damaged. Most likely by the after effects of the explosion. There's no footage after this, be it of criminals or space aliens. And I thought it was such a good idea too. And just because your grandchild is watching from the gallery doesn't mean you should try to show off too much. Grandpa Baldness. Prosecutor Blackwell, how did you know about my grandchild? I think his grandchildren just learned a little about the harshness of the adult world. She says with a smile on her face. Setting aside the issues of grandchildren, I'd like to have the witness continue. Dr. Cosmos, could you tell us more about when you entered the lounge? Yeah. If I must. I had to avoid getting shot. After the killer vanished, I went into the lounge. That's when Detective Arm appeared from the elevator side door. And then the detective shot at me. So you see, the killer could have only escaped to the launch pad, right? What do you think about Director Cosmos' emotional responses, Athena? Actually, my cat is really sick, you know? What? Oh. I'm very sorry to hear that. On top of that, my dog just doesn't seem to want to play with me. Why are you telling me all this now? Just humor me, okay? And when you heard about my cat, and then about my dog, which story made you feel sadder? Sorry about your cat, of course. It's only natural. Exactly. That would be the natural reaction. There's nothing natural about the director's reactions. Think how each individual reaction changes across the whole testimony would be. Oh, it's a sadness level.
Got it!
You should be more scared. Dr. Cosmos. Why were you so surprised when Detective Arm found you, and again when she fired? Isn't that a bit unnatural? Sadly, even great men such as myself have ordinary human feelings. Our bodies are bound by the forces of gravity and emotions. Even a great man such as myself experiences surprise on occasion. Yes, I'm sure you do. My real point is not the fact that you were surprised, but rather what you were surprised by. Pardon me? First, you were surprised when Detective Arm found you in the lounge. And just after that, you were of course again and just after that, you were of course again surprised when she shot at you. But considering what you were surprised about, a strange phenomenon occurs here. Director Cosmos, what is strange about your surprised reaction is the fact that you were... Oops. Sure, you were surprised when Detective Arm shot at you. But the surprise you felt when she found you in the lounge was much greater. Yeah. The fact that you were more surprised simply by being found than by being shot at suggests to me that you were conflicted about whatever it was you were doing there. The enemy has acquired a new weapon. Commence operation hide under your desk. Please tell me I finally sunk his battleship. Boss, I'm getting less Discord now. That must mean... he really is hiding something about that launchpad door. Whatever he's hiding most likely has something to do with the killer's escape. I wonder what it could be. If he was doing something suspicious around that door, maybe we could spot some change before... we can spot some change between before he came to the room and after. Detective Fulbright gave us a photo taken after the crime. Let's run a comparison. Let's see. This footage of the door before the director Cosmos arrived. It's the latch here. This is how the door looked after the director entered the lounge. Hey, look at that. There is a change. Something's definitely different. Excuse me. Director Cosmos. What is it? What have you two been up to over there? Finding the answer to what you were doing when Detective Arm found you, that's what. The answer lies clearly in this footage. All we have to do is compare it to the photo that was taken during the investigation. Don't be ridiculous. If you really do have an answer, you'd have pointed it out already. He's asking for it. This is what changed directly after the incident.
Take that!
The answer is this knob. Yeah, that's... Your Honor, please take a look at this footage. Let's see. Taking a look at the knob next to the launchpad door. As you can see, it's horizontal. Yes, it is, isn't it? However, when we investigated the scene of the crime yesterday, the knob was vertical. What does that mean? It means that sometime between before the director arrived and after, someone turned this knob. After the scene was discovered, you're the only one who could have turned the knob. Come on now, Director Cosmos. Let's hear what you have to say. Hold on. Ow. Sorry, my neck got tense for a second. What were you trying to do by turning that knob by the door? Fine, I admit it. You're right, I did turn that knob. That knob is a safety lock meant to keep the launch pad in place. I was afraid there would be more explosions, so I wanted to move the launch pad away. You wanted to do what? Hey, didn't that Ponko tell us something about how they prepare for launch? She said that once the launch pad's fully assembled, it's moved into the launch site. The safety lock in the boarding lounge has to be disengaged first. I guess that clears up what the knob is for. Oh, so if the killer escaped into the Launchpad 1 corridor, maybe they were transported along with the Launchpad to the launch site? I don't think so. The Launchpad 1 corridor was filled with smoke. I don't think they could have escaped through that corridor. So then, where did the killer escape to? I guess there are still some things we have yet to uncover. Dr. Cosmos, I request that you tell us about moving the launchpad in more detail. Fine. Well, listen carefully, for I'm about to give history-making testimony. I had no choice but to... I fear there might be more explosions. So I had to cut the launch pad loose. Surely the only escape the killer had was through launch pad 1. But that area was a sea of smoke. Confounded. Where on earth could they have gone?
Got it!
I had no choice but to disengage the safety lock. You make it sound like you were reluctant to do so. And yet when you did it, you felt some joy, as if you were very pleased with yourself. How do you do it? How do you know everything as if you were there? Pretty impressive, isn't it? This is the power of analytical psychology. So care to explain why you felt joy when you disengaged the safety lock? When I think back on the facts we've discovered up to this point, I have to believe that you were trying to fulfill some hidden agenda. How do you know that, too? Because I'm more or less a pro at guessing. But you have no proof that I had a hidden agenda. And even if I did, I would never ever tell you, so there. I know they see people regress as they grow older, but you, sir, take the cake. How could you doubt a man with such great intensity, intelligence, and integrity?
Silence!
You? A man of integrity? Don't make me laugh. Prosecutor Blackwell? What came over him all of a sudden? You spouted nothing but falsity since you stepped up to the stand. You're not the kind of man that will be glorified in the annals of history. Not for greatness, anyway. Unless you consider greatest barefaced liar an honor. Liar? His words bite harder than his blade. You moved Launchpad 1 after the explosions? My, how naive you are. Fail to realize how even the facts themselves have betrayed you. You know, just a thought, but modern English can be your friend. And here's a thought for you. Immediately following the bombing, Launchpad 1 was on the boarding lounge 1 side. Police confirmed this on scene. What? Liar? So that means the director didn't move the launch pad? Here's my judgment for calling history's greatest liar to the witness stand. Let's leave him to indulge in his lies and war games to his heart's content. Liar?
Objection!
That doesn't make sense. You can't deny that someone turned that knob. And once the safety lock was released, I'm sure the pad must have went somewhere. If we chase down the truth of this issue, we might just find out where the killer escaped to. You're sure it must have went somewhere? We just might find out? Your arguments are nothing but conjecture, bluffing, and wishful thinking. Stop chasing your fantasies and see reality for what it really is. Or are you not man enough to, boy? Talk about hitting below the belt. Youngins these days. I don't understand it. I'm sure Director Cosmos must have moved to the launch pad. Wait, hold on. How old is Wright? Oh, it doesn't say. The knob was definitely turned after he came to the lounge. But the launch pad is right where it's supposed to be. Wait a minute. Maybe I have it all backwards. What if the director turned the knob, not to move the launch pad away, but to bring it back to where it was supposed to be? What are you blathering about? What if the launch pad was at the launch site before the incident? And then after the incident, Director Cosmos moved it back to its usual spot. All you have to do is turn the knob to call the launch pad back. And it would be right where the police found it. They cut off his hair. You made him sound like Mr. Starbuck. Was what I said really that off base? Pains me to have to explain how wrong your own logic is to you. However, our great liar turned the knob only after he discovered the crime scene. Indeed, the pad existed beyond the lounge when our astral wonders made their escape. The fact that it has been recorded for posterity on a filmless film. Alright. So to reiterate. Stop chasing your fantasies and see what reality for what it really is, boy. Ah. Get a grip, Mr. Wright, and focus. We know the launch pad must have been moved. But our deductions and the actual facts of the case are in direct contradiction to each other. Well, maybe the two astronauts never actually boarded the rocket. This footage could be fake, taken with body doubles after the incident or something. On second thought, that's too far-fetched, even for me. Never actually boarded the rocket. Hey, wait a minute. Maybe, just maybe. Huh? Prosecutor Blackwell. What if I told you that the two astronauts never set foot inside the launch pad area, but instead went into another place? And what if when the director moved the launch pad 1 back, it was not from the launch site, but from another place? What would you say then? Cut the accidental bullet, I'll cut you. Hold on. Mr. Wright, you will explain yourself at once. I know I'm right. It was all the other way around from the beginning. Very well, Your Honor, let me explain. Director Cosmos' reason for moving the Launchpad 1 was... guess he wanted to switch it with some other place. I'm sorry, but did you say switch it? What could possibly have switched with the Launchpad with? Oh, you'd be surprised, Your Honor. All it takes is a little thinking outside the box and the answer becomes clear as day. This is what was switched with Launchpad 1.
Take that!
Launchpad 1 was switched with the Space Museum? In the past, the Space Museum used to be Launchpad 2. It has all the same features as Launchpad 1. It can even be moved to the launch site. Meaning the Space Museum and Launchpad 1 can also be switched with each other. You can't mean... The rocket the astronauts boarded was not the one in Launchpad 1. It was the one in the Space Museum. What? Balderdash! And yet, it's the only explanation that accounts for every riddle and inconsistency. This is how the Space Center was just before the incident. See, Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum have already switched places. That's right. And when the two switched like this, the astronauts entered the Space Museum from boarding Lounge 1. This allowed the true killer to enter the Launchpad 1 from boarding Lounge 2. And set the bomb on the rocket. Come to think of it, the door to the Space Museum is from boarding Lounge 2. Welcome, welcome. The Space Museum is open to the public every day of the year from 9 AM to 7 PM. Exactly. Anyone could pass through the door to the Space Museum. There is no fingerprint recognition system on that door. In other words, with the two launch pads switched like that, someone other than Mr. Starbuck could have easily planted that bomb. Ah! After setting the bomb on the rocket, the culprit snuck into the boarding lounge 1 and waited there, concealed. In order to kill Mr. Terran when the two astronauts emerged from the Space Museum. Recall that Miss Blackwell, Mr. Starbuck, and the director all saw a suspicious figure. Who, we can suppose after killing Mr. Terran, made their escape into the Space Museum. After that, Director Cosmos switched the 2 launch pads back, without realizing the killer was inside the Space Museum. The killer then left the Space Museum and made a clean getaway. Right, Dono. I see you know how to handle a sword and handle it well. Perhaps I should call you Swordmaster Bluff. I'm a seasoned warrior who has cut down many a prosecutor.
Silence!
But unless you can prove your theory, it's no better than a rusty sword. That's right, you have no proof that I switched the launch pads. Somebody needs a better anger management counselor. The launch pads really switched. Might be a record of it somewhere. At this point, Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum were switched with each other. So the corridor beyond the door should be the one... So the corridor beyond this door should be the one that belongs to the Space Museum. Let's see, this is an image of the Launchpad 1 corridor. Do you see anything different when we compare it to the security footage? Oh? That number on the floor. Well, what do you know? Looks like we have proof after all, Prosecutor Blackwell. And if this is just another bluff? No, don't worry, it's all right there. Right in this footage. Proof that beyond this door is the corridor to the Space Museum. Very well then, answer this for me if you would. When this footage proves that the corridor belongs to the Space Museum.
Take that!
There's a 1 on the floor of the Launchpad 1 corridor. But take a look at the floor of the corridor in the security footage. You see the number on the floor behind the astronauts? It doesn't look like a 1, does it? That's because what you see is actually part of a 2. What? Why is it a 2 and not a 1? That's because the corridor you see in the one to the Space Museum. Gah. And so that means the corridor in this footage was not filled with smoke. That's right, because the explosion didn't occur in the Space Museum. The explosion occurred in Launchpad 1, on the side opposite the Space Museum. Now that we know that 2 astronauts escaped from the Space Museum, mystery from the previous trial of how they got down the ladder is cleared up. Mr. Charon, carrying Mr. Starbuck, simply took the elevator down from the upper level down to the middle level. Just incredible, the 2 launch pads were actually switched. But you think someone would have noticed an event of this magnitude? Everyone was down in the basement shelter when the launch pads were swapped back. There's no way anyone could have known what was happening on the surface. No more lies, Director Cosmos. It's high time you told us the truth. Ah. My honor, my glory, everything is slipping away. Time to deploy my ultimate weapon. Galactic engine. Ignition. Oh, I'm not gonna... No, not that way. Oh. Bailiff, on your seat and after that witness. I see we managed to retrieve you before you came to any bodily harm. Director Cosmos, do you admit you switched the launch pads? I admit it's true. I switched Launchpad 1 for the Space Museum. It's good to hear words I can believe for a change. Before you do, Your Honor, two things. First, we don't know if Mr. Terran had prior knowledge of the switch. As for Mr. Starbuck, he was unaware of his surroundings thanks to his medication. Either way, Mr. Terran would have realized the instant he stepped into the Space Museum that it had been switched with Launchpad 1. So my first question is, if the Space Museum was perfectly fine, why did Mr. Terran feel the need to put on such a dramatic display? As for my second question, I'd like Director Cosmos to tell us why he switched the two launch pads to begin with. Please, I can't. I exercise my right to remain silent. But I will say my hands were tied. I was only doing what I could to keep my men from getting caught in that blast. The director is terrified. He must have one heck of a reason for not wanting to explain why. Probably not a good time to try to pry it out of him, huh? Excuse me. Well, would you mind if I picked up my stars? Without my badge of rank, I'm nothing. I don't see why not. Bailiff helped the director retrieve his stars. It appears the possibility of a culprit other than the defendant has presented itself. Mr. Starbuck, is there anything you wish to say? I don't get it. Don't get it. No, don't you get? Director, why did you do all that? From the very beginning, you never meant for the launch pad to go ahead, did you? Or for the launch to go ahead, did you? You tricked us. Mr. Starbuck. Starbuck, my boy, I'm sorry. I can't tell you the reason why. But I had to do it to protect the Space Center. Director. Will I ever get the chance to go into space again? Yes, of course. I won't rest until it happens. I will get you into space again, my boy. Then the dream is still alive.
Silence!
You're not going into space, Starbuck. A prison. I won't have it any other way. Why are you so hung up on him? Yes, I accept the launch pads really were switched. And if there were a third person at the scene, I suppose they could have escaped. But I have yet to see proof of this third person escaped via the Space Museum. Oh, that's a good point. Ugh, he's right. I don't have any proof. Starbuck, you will spill everything you know. What? Me? Where did you get those bombs? Tell me now. If you don't, my blade shall feast upon your blood. If I'm going to die, I want to die in space. I have to do something. Solomon Starbuck, prepare yourself. Aha! Now you know violence isn't the answer, Prosecutor Blackquill. Ugh, that annoyingly cheerful laugh can be none other than... Champion of righteousness, Bobby Fulbright here. In justice we trust. Detective Fulbright. Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Lawyer. I hope I'm not too late. I don't believe we had an appointment. I tried to hurry, but I ended up helping a little old lady cross the street. And then I had to break up a cat fight. I tell you, Justice Sheriff is a full-time job. If there's a fight between cats or... Why are you here again? Because the defendant isn't the culprit. And I came to make sure that injustice is served. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Fulbright. I always thought you were a bit touched in the head. But have you finally succumbed? Nope. It looks like you've succumbed to this phantom of yours. Open your eyes and let the evidence of justice uncloud your judgment. What evidence? Come to think of it, he did say something about finding us some evidence. Thanks, you two. I feel a lot better now that I've been able to get that off my chest. I'm going to work extra hard to find that perfect piece of evidence for you. I didn't think you were serious, though. So what is it, Detective? Is it something that will prove Mr. Starbuck innocent? It is indeed. Have a look at this. What's this? A lighter? That's right. A lighter thought to have been used by the culprit, no less. The Space Museum's cleaning robot picked it up. It has the victim Clay Terran's blood, along with his killer's fingerprints on it. What? Order, order! Detective Fulbright, can I assume that the fingerprints don't belong to the defendant? You bet. Mr. Starbuck is totally innocent. This is it. This is just what I needed. Your Honor, this is decisive evidence that supports the defense's earlier claim. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. With pleasure, Your Honor. Recall where this lighter was found. Based on that, we can extrapolate that after the killer murdered Mr. Terran, they escaped the lighter and handed to the Space Museum, where they dropped it. Switching of the two launch pads occurred. And finally, the killer left the boarding lounge 2 and made their escape. Meanwhile, Mr. Starbuck was found in boarding lounge 1 after the murder. A fact that Director Cosmos has testified to. Therefore, Mr. Starbuck couldn't have possibly been the one to drop the lighter there.
Silence!
But the defendants had free reign of the area until Director Cosmos appeared. Could he not have dropped the lighter in the Space Museum during that span of time?
Objection!
You'd like that to be true, wouldn't you? But Director Cosmos testified to that right after he saw the mysterious figure with a lighter. He went into the lounge and found the unconscious Mr. Starbuck. In other words, Mr. Starbuck wouldn't have had time to double back to the museum. No, Prosecutor Blackwell, this lighter could have only been dropped by the real killer. Most importantly, Mr. Starbuck's fingerprints were nowhere to be found on this lighter. I think you understand what this means, don't you? This piece of evidence unequivocally proves that Mr. Starbuck wasn't the culprit. This does indeed appear to be decisive evidence that proves the defense's claims. As for the remote switch that was found in Mr. Starbuck's pocket, we can assume it was planted by the killer on the unconscious Mr. Starbuck. No. There must be some mistake. Frankly, Prosecutor Blackwell, I've been worried about you. You've been chasing this phantom for 7 whole years. I understand your urgency because tomorrow...
Silence!
Fool braids. You promised never to speak of that. Huh? Tomorrow. What about tomorrow? Given the body of evidence, I think it's safe to say the defendant is innocent. In light of the fact that it was impossible for him to have committed the crime. A few unanswered questions remain, so I look forward to seeing what you two uncovered. But for now, this court finds the defendant, Solomon Starbuck. Hell yeah. Yes, we did it, Mr. Wright. Looks like we pulled it off somehow, huh? With some help from Detective Fulbright. Sorry. Mr. Wright, Miss Sykes, thank you. And please thank Apollo for me, too. You are all the best. Oh, I wish we could tell Apollo about Mr. Starbuck's verdict right now. Yeah, me too. That's gonna have to wait. Now that a verdict has been reached, I'd like to bring today's trial to a close. Court is adjourned.
Objection!
It's too late to object, isn't it? It simply isn't possible. Something's wrong. Blackwell? Prosecutor Blackwell, are you dissatisfied with the verdict? Fulbright. What were the results of that fingerprint analysis for the lighter? Oh, the results? Well, I was in a hurry, you see, and then there was that cat fight, and, well... I kinda got carried away when I heard the prints weren't Mr. Starbucks, so... You have yet to read it? Prosecutor Blackwell, can you read out who the prints belong to? Upon thorough analysis, the fingerprints were found to belong to Athena Sykes. What? So says the report. What? What? Huh? Me? Order. Order, I say. Miss Sykes, tell me you have an explanation for this. You just finished proving that the slider could only belong to the killer. So finding your prints on it can only lead us to one grave conclusion. I don't know how they got on there, but I know I'm not the culprit. This can't be happening. We built up our argument piece by piece. I don't think any of our reasoning was faulty. So how could it have led to this? Yeah. What have I done? Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Order. Order. Detective Fulbright, stop your crying. What in the world's happening here? It's like the world's gone mad. Order! Order! I will have order! Confusion spiraled into utter chaos. After all we fought for, the truth had turned cruelly on us to accuse Athena of the crime. Somewhere, somehow, everything had gone terribly wrong. We had stumbled over the edge of reason, and into the jaws of a twisted darkness. That's the end? Oh shit. Turnabout for tomorrow. Wow, okay, that took a fucking turn. Alright, let's figure out who to raid. You know what? Let's raid somebody interesting. Twisted raid. Because the truth was twisted against us. Anyhow. Hope everybody takes care of themselves and have a good night.